Alright, so this video will focus on 10.1. And it says to start off with by finding the product. So that means when I multiply these three things together, I have like 5 times 5 times 5. So in this case, I'll get 125. And what I want you to realize is I want you to pause the video and try to solve for all of these. 10 times 10 times 10, 1,000. If you have negative 3 times negative 3, that's positive 9. And then times negative 3 is negative 27. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, so 10,000. I'm sorry, 5 zeros is 100,000 because you had that 1. If I have 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, so that's 16, times 4 is 64, times 4 is 256, and then finally I have 16 here because a negative times a negative is a positive, times a negative is a negative, times a negative again is a positive. And what we want to do is we want to write exponents or use exponents to write numbers. So for each one of these, I could have written, instead I could have like 5 to the third or 10 to the third, or this one here is actually negative 3 in parentheses to the third, and we'll explain why in this lesson. 10 to the fifth, 4 to the fourth, and then negative 2 in parentheses to the fourth power as well. So that's how to rewrite these. So let's look here. And if it says negative 3 to the first, that's negative 3. Negative 3 to the second is positive 9. Negative 3 to the third, what that really means is it means that I have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 again. Well, in this case, I have 3 negatives, so my answer is going to be a negative, and I will get 27. Next one, I'll have my negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. Of course, we know that 2 negatives make a positive. And I have, so this is an even number, right? So in this case, it would be negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. So this is like 81. We keep filling this out. And what we're going to notice is that as it goes through, all the odd number ones that I have are going to be negative answers. And all the even number ones I have, like negative 3 to the second, are positive numbers. So negative and positive. Also realize that I'm putting the number in parentheses, because if I go through here and have negative 3 to the second, that's different than this one here, because what I'm doing is I'm actually just taking the 3 and doing that to the second. It'd be like this, negative 3 times 3. Whatever the exponent is touching, that's what you're actually doing. So it isn't touching the negative portion. That's why it'd be negative 3 times 3. This one here would be negative 3 times, and then there's a total of 5 3's, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how that's different than what I have here? This one's saying that I'll have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm doing that because the whole thing's in parentheses. So the whole thing is being multiplied 5 times, where this one is just the first one. So all these answers here, these will all be equal to negative answers. This is like 3 squared, which is 9, so this is negative 9. Right, because that's what this will look like right here. This here would be a negative 256. And that, of course, is different than these right here. These right here says write the product using exponents. So this would be like 2 to the third. This is going to be negative 7 in parentheses to the second. This is 2/3 to the fifth. This is negative 1/6 in parentheses to the third. This is 11 to the seventh. And this is negative 1/4 in parentheses to the fourth. So it says here, write an exponent product using exponents. So if I look here, they're all in parentheses, so it will be negative 7 to the third power. So it's in parentheses. This one here is going to be pi squared and then r cubed. So pi squared times r cubed. This one here is going to be 1/4 to the fifth power. It'll be in parentheses. This is negative or 0.3 to the fourth x to the second. This one here is going to be negative 2 to the fourth, so negative 2 is in parentheses. My answer will then be a positive answer. This one here, it's just negative 2 to the 4th power. So this will be a negative answer because only the 2 is being multiplied 4 times, and there's a negative sign in the very front. So although these numbers will be the same, one will be positive, one will be negative. So this is 16, this will be negative 16. This one here says evaluate. So I do multiplication. Well, first I do exponents. So 3 to the 4th is going to be 81 times 2 plus 3. This here, I'll do my exponents first. I'll then take this one here and divide it by 2. And then, so this is going to be 64 divided by 2 is negative 32. And that'll be 9 minus 32. I said 9, I meant 27 minus 32. I get negative 5. This one here says negative 5 to the 4th power. Again, this is going to be a negative answer. This one is in parentheses. It will also be a negative answer because it'll be 3 negative 1 to the 6th, or negative 1/6. And because it's a negative, if I have an odd number of negatives, it will stay negative. This one here, whatever my answer is, it's an absolute value, so it will be a positive answer at the end of it. This one here, if I look, I have, this would be 2 to the 5th, so it would be, and then times 0.5, and then take that number, will be minus from 9. So if I look here, I get negative 625, negative 1 over 216, I get 1, and then finally negative 7. This one here is a real interesting problem. We know that the formula for a sphere is going to be, let me just write this down. We know it's 4/3 radius cubed times pi. This right here is diameter, so it's saying the diameter of this is going to be 3. So the radius would be half of that, right? So basically I have 4/3 times 1.5 to the 3rd power times pi. And when I multiply this all out, let's just figure this out real fast. I take 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5. I get 3.375. I'm then going to multiply that number times 4. And then divide it by 3. And when I do that, I'm going to get 4.5 pi. So I'm going to write this down. So 4.5 pi. This one here is 2, right? So half of that would be equal to 1. So I'll do the same thing I did before. Let me change the color. So I'll have 4/3 times 1 cubed times pi. So in this case, that just equals 1 times 4, which is 4, divided by 3, right? Which is going to be 4/3 pi. And of course, 4/3, 4 divided by 3, is 1.33. So I could essentially take this here and go minus 1.33 pi. And my answer, if I take this, I'm just going to put a little negative sign in front of it. There we go. And then plus 4.5. So I get 3.166. And that's my answer. So let's just look at what I have here. And if I take 19 divided by 6, I'm guessing I get this exact same answer. Cool, so same answer. So there are different ways to do it based on what it shows here and what I showed, but they're exactly the same answer. And that is really